I have my best friend, Emily. I love her to death. And Yasmin and so many other people in my life. And they're the people that I know I have a special bond with for the fact that we can go away if that's how life goes. And it could be 6 months, a year, whatever. And that you see that person and it is as if it were yesterday that you saw them, and you pick right back up and everything is great and you don't have to explain anything and you just move on.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexie Callies. Do you feel the squeeze of caring for an elderly loved one and school-aged children? Then welcome to the Sandwich Stories. Let's dig in.
Hi everybody. It's Lexie Callies with Sandwich Stories. I hope you're having a really great week. And I want to talk about friendship. I have been listening a lot to some people who've done studies about friendship. And it really made me start thinking about my friendships and what they mean to me and how we all need certain people in our life at certain times. And some of these people are in your life for a lifetime. One of the things that struck me listening to this researcher was the fact that only until the last 50 years have we supposed to consider our spouse our best friend. And that's a new concept. And it made me really think, like, yes, I love my husband. He is one of my best friends, but he shouldn't be my only best friend, right? So the bonds of friendship that you form outside of your marriage are so important, right? So I have my best friend, Emily. I love her to death. And Yasmin and so many other people in my life. And they're the people that I know I have a special bond with for the fact that we can go away if that's how life goes. And it could be 6 months, a year, whatever. And that you see that person and it is as if it were yesterday that you saw them, and you pick right back up and everything is great and you don't have to explain anything and you just move on. And those are the people in your life who I feel that will always be there for you. And as we move forward in life, forging these bonds with people outside of your marriage, I think, is really important, because if something happens to you, let's say my husband got sick, God forbid. Oh my God, God forbid. My husband were to get sick and I needed help. And if my only best friend were my husband, what am I going to do? Who am I going to call? Who's going to be there? I don't have a sibling. And even then, if you did have siblings, is your sibling your best friend? Sometimes no. My husband would say, probably not. My sister is not my best friend. But who are your best friends? Now, his sister would come, she would help. Yes. His family would come and help. Yes. But in those day-to-day things, who's your best friend? Who's going to be there? Who's going to help you? Who's going to understand? Who's going to let you cry and not judge you, or feel that you won't feel judged whenever you break down or just get angry? And so if you're a spouse, something happens to them, who's going to be there? And so this concept of friendship, I think people have to get over this modern thought that you can. So there's a modern thought that you can't deeply love somebody and be platonic. That's wrong. My best friend as a child, from the time I was 8 all the way through high school, And then he went off to the Navy and had his life, and he lives on the other side of the country, and life happens, right? But at that time, my best friend in my life was a guy named Ryan. And I loved him. I did. I loved him deeply because he was my best friend. There was never any judgment. There was never any expectations. There was never anything. And for a girl to have that in their life from a young age through puberty and through high school, I look back as really important and really special because I didn't always have to think in the way of a girl, right? I could be who I wanted to be, could say what I wanted to say, and that person would never judge me. If I wanted to be super girly, I could. If I wanted to be the tomboy I always was, I could be, right? And so it just formed that bond that I feel if I saw him today, I'd run up to him and give him a huge hug, and I'd still love him. And you can have those relationships in your life. They can be opposite sex, they can be same sex. It does not matter. You can have that best girlfriend who is your soulmate, who is your best friend, and you guys just click. And that's the person that you want in your life when things go wrong, when things get tough, because they understand and they're going to be there. And so that is why I feel as we move forward, seeing our family members who we now take care of, I'm not my mom's best friend. I'm her daughter. I'm her caretaker. And that makes it hard, right? Because we have baggage. Every daughter and mother has baggage, right? It's inevitable. But with your best friends, maybe you have some baggage with them, but not a lot. And they get you and they understand you and they're willing to care for you and help out with the kids and help out with your spouse if need be. So I really feel that we need to look at our friendships. And yes, your spouse, your partners can be a best friend, but they're not your only best friend. So maybe that's what we need to look at moving forward in the new year. Friendships. Who's the friend that you miss deeply in your life? Maybe you did have a falling out, but you really do love them. You love them so deeply, you hurt that they are no longer in your life. Call them. Text them. Because if they are who you feel they are, I'm sure that they've wanted to do the same thing. Maybe they're feeling the same way. But maybe if you're not in those positions, right? So maybe you have that best friend that you see all the time, every day, talk to, text, say, good morning. You're lucky, right? To have those people in your life, we're lucky. And I get to have my best friends with me for the next 4.5 years for sure, because all our kids are still going to be in school together, right? But to form those bonds at my age, because making friends isn't easy when you're in your 40s, right? But it shouldn't be hard. Making new friends, even when you're in your 40s, shouldn't be hard. People are always looking for friends. So don't be afraid to make a new friend. Don't be afraid. That could be the person. That could be your person. That could be your soulmate when it comes to friendship. So don't be closed off by the idea of you already have enough friends. Don't be that person. Be open. You can make that friend later in life. And you're just going to click and you're going to say, aha! As Archimedes said, Eureka. Right? I found them. I found my person. And you'd be really lucky to have them in your life. Because maybe they're going to be the person that's there if you're sick. And I can help you. So like I said, when I was listening to some of these researchers, they were saying that there were people out there that their best friend got sick and they were the ones who were taking them to the hospital into treatments because the person who was sick, their spouse still had to go to work to pay the bills, to pay the medical bills. Or the best friend was the person who stayed at the house to help out with the kids and make sure they got to school on time while their husband or spouse or whomever it was the one who was taking their loved one to the hospital to get treatments. And I do all these things for my mom, but yet again, I'm not her best friend. And I think that was hard for my mom to have best friends because she was in such a competitive world, in the corporate world, being the only woman. That's a lot of competition. She had friends. She had close friends that she worked with and had a good time. But then when she retired, those friends tend to go away because they were not the best friend. And her best friend now, her husband is sick and she's taking care of her husband as well as she should be. My mom can't be there for her. My mom can't help her. And yet I get calls from my mom's best friend and said, I'm so sorry I haven't been there for you. I'm so sorry I haven't been there for your mom. And I always tell her, I was like, it's okay. I understand. You have a lot on your shoulders right now. So it's okay. But her husband is on the mend. And so I'm hoping then she will be able to hang out with my mom and maybe she'll be able to visit with my mom and be my mom's best friend again. I mean, they were always talking, always together, having dinner at least once a week at one of their favorite restaurants. And then my mom got sick and couldn't do it anymore. And then, like I said, her husband got sick and she has other responsibilities and she also has grandchildren she has to help take care of. And so hopefully she'll be able to come back. I hope her husband, who is a wonderful man, is on the mend and he'll be able to come too because my mom worked with him also and loves him to death too. So with all this said, don't be afraid and think your best friend has to be your spouse. It doesn't have to be. It can be the person who you sit with in the car line talking to each other every single day while you're picking up the kids from school. That's your best friend. They're going to be there for you and you will be there for them. And it's okay to have your best friend outside of your marriage. It's okay if your best friend is the opposite sex of you. If you have a healthy, strong marriage, there won't be a problem. And those are who we need in our lives as we move forward, right? Our kids are going to go away. They're going to have their own families. They're going to have children of their own. And we need our best friends because our children cannot be our best friends. I mean, like we've told my son, I am your parent and I love you, but I am not your friend right now. I cannot be your friend because that doesn't make me a good parent. Now, as my son gets older and is an adult of his own, then I can become his friend, but I won't be his best friend. I'm his mom. Yet again, baggage. Right. So, find your best friends, give them a hug, love them, Forge those friendships. Make sure they're strong because it makes us better. And they're who you can go to when you're going to need them, right? So, with that said, the song of the week is Just Breathe by Pearl Jam. I have been listening to Pearl Jam since I was probably 10, 11 years old with their first album. And Eddie Vedder, their lead singer, came up with a song, wrote the song when one of his best friends was dying, and he was looking back and reflecting on their friendship. So the song is called Just Breathe by Pearl Jam. I love you all. I hope you all have your best friends nearby and give them a big hug. And I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to Sandwich Stories. I really hope you learned some new things and enjoyed it. If you did, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell everybody you know to also listen. Maybe they'll learn some new things, how to help each other out, and find us at Sandwich Stories Podcast. Thanks so much.